Starting off, she uses Ozempic. Now, Oprah is known for being the face of Weight Watchers. She'd promote it all the time and maintain that if you followed the program, you would get results like her. Well, it seems like she got a little help from the magic weight loss drug, Ozempic. She's finally admitting to using weight loss drugs and said, in taking weight loss medication, I'm not constantly thinking about what the next meal is gonna be. She uses it in combination with hiking 3 to 5 miles a day, running, wave resistance training, and eating a healthy diet. This is what I got for the first time after I took the medication. All these years, I thought all of the people who never had to diet were just using their willpower, or they were for some reason stronger than me, Oprah said. And now I realize y'all weren't even thinking about the food. It's not that you had the willpower, you were obsessing over it. Yikes. So it seems like she was just selling lies to people who just wanted to feel better about their bodies. Up next is the Maui Fund. Dwayne Johnson and Oprah Winfrey launched the People's Fund of Maui, a fund intended to put money directly into the hands of adults displaced by the deadly wildfires that had ripped through Hawaii in August 2023. Now, according to their Instagram post, every adult resident who's displaced by the fires was eligible to receive $1,200 each month from the fund. Now, the pair noted that they had kicked off the campaign with $10 million in donations and asked others to help by contributing further. After announcing the fund, the pair drew criticism from some people on social media who questioned why they were not contributing more of their personal wealth. One person on TikTok called their video tone deaf. Some commenters questioned why the pair, as wealthy celebrities, were asking others to give instead of donating more themselves. "We can't afford it, but you can," one person commented on their video on TikTok. "You guys make more in a day than I'll make in my lifetime," another person wrote. Now, others questioned why the appeal for donations was being directed to the general public rather than their fellow stars with more financial means. "This is disgusting, ask other celebrities, not people who are living paycheck to paycheck," another person said. Moving on to being exploitative. Critics have accused Oprah of sensationalism and exploitation in her talk show's early years. For example, there was an incredibly uncomfortable Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen interview that makes us cringe today. In 2004, Mary-Kate and Ashley were guests on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and at the time the interview took place, the twins were only 17 years old, and Mary-Kate had been hounded by the press about her weight, with intense media speculation that the star was suffering from an eating disorder. Oprah says, "I know there's been a rumor that has recently surfaced that's really upset you," and Mary-Kate and Ashley were both clearly taken aback by the question, and a tense moment of silence followed, by Oprah saying, "You know, the one about eating." Now, Mary-Kate was so thrown off by the line of questioning that she looked almost on the verge of tears, and Ashley jumped in to rescue her. "Yeah, you know, people are going to write what they're gonna write," they say. After some awkward back and forth, Oprah asked the Olsen twins what dress size they are, and they reacted uncomfortable by saying, "I don't know." It was obvious that the questions about their bodies were uncomfortable, but Oprah still pushed. When they said they weren't sure, Oprah hit back sarcastically saying, "Oh, you're not sure? That's interesting." Now, later the same year that the Oprah interview aired, Mary-Kate checked into a rehabilitation facility to seek treatment for a food-related health disorder, and Oprah should be ashamed of asking all of that. Then there's promoting pseudoscience. In 2007, Oprah brought Jenny McCarthy, the Playboy model and actress, onto her show to talk about autism. Jenny's young son, Evan, had suffered a series of seizures at 2.5 years old and was later diagnosed with autism. Now, Jenny was adamant that the MMR vaccination Evan received as a baby caused his autism. Oprah gave her story a platform and unwittingly started the panic we know today. Now, during the interview, Oprah never challenged Jenny's views either. Not to mention, she promoted the self-help book and film The Secret, which promotes the law of attraction, and many people accused her of promoting pseudoscience here as well. Now let's talk about the Letterman feud. Both Oprah and David Letterman effectively banned each other from their shows for 2 decades after a mysterious feud. Oprah had her talk show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, and Letterman had his late-night show, The Late Show with David Letterman. Now, the feud started back in the 80s when Oprah made an appearance on The Late Show and felt that it was an uncomfortable experience. Now, this made her refuse to be a guest on the show again. In response, Letterman began cracking jokes about Oprah and how much she hated him. Now, this might have contributed to exaggerated rumors about her feelings towards him, but in any case, regardless of how much truth there were in these rumors, she did not speak to him for 16 years. Since then, though, the two have made up a couple of times, but they've buried the hatchet and appeared on each other's shows. Now we have her dark upbringing. Oprah was born in Mississippi to a single teenage mother and grew up in extreme poverty. During her childhood, the cost of raising Oprah became too much for her mother to handle, so she was sent to live with her biological father. Since then, Oprah has come forward talking about how she's been mistreated and taken advantage of by her cousin, uncle, and a family friend. Now at 13, after suffering for years, she ran away from home, and at 14, she became pregnant. She gave birth to a son, but he was premature and died only a few weeks later, and she was able to overcome all of this, but man, she had it rough. On to her promoting a fake book. Oprah has a book club, and she added James Frey's book A Million Little Pieces to the reading list. Now when James was promoting his books on talk shows or other media outlets, it was referred to as a memoir. But large parts of the stories were later found out to be exaggerated or fabricated, sparking a media controversy. Now this was discovered after investigation was conducted by the Smoking Gun. They determined that James had actually fictionalized some of the story, and controversy arose after Oprah initially defended the book, but she later confronted James on her show. Now there's her medical ties. I think Seth MacFarlane said it best in 2020 when he said, "Oprah has done some wonderfully altruistic things with her career, but the use of her platform to amplify the voices of dubious characters rather than legitimate scientists has been a disservice," he wrote in a now deleted tweet. I hope she will lend her own powerful voice to correct it. Now the post included an LA Times article link that discussed medical misinformation from Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, who Oprah supports. The exception to that is the elevation of these purveyors of pseudoscience. People like Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, all the way back to Jenny McCarthy and the anti-movement, he continued. And it's a strange dichotomy that I think a lot of people, particularly right now, are having trouble reconciling. You know this person has done all this positive work for the world, and yet somehow has gotten caught up in this web of junk science on many occasions. Next up, we have being rude to guests. Now throughout her career, Oprah has been called out for not being as sensitive as she perhaps could have been. An interview she did with Dolly Parton in 2003 has resurfaced, with people questioning the star and her interview tactics. Some people have questions about what Oprah was asking Dolly, how she was asking, and what exactly her goal was by probing for personal information. Now in the first video, Oprah asked Dolly how she's able to look so good for her age, and Dolly gives her a funny answer. Now Oprah presses harder though, noting that Dolly has been open about having cosmetic work done, but Dolly rolls with the punches and admits to it. Now Dolly even says that she'll probably continue going under the knife, and some people are pointing out that Oprah looks disappointed that Dolly flipped it in her favor. Now a second clip from that same interview popped up as well, and Oprah dives right into a heavy subject, saying she heard Dolly fell into a huge depression at age 40. Now she doesn't really approach the topic with any sensitivity, and that's rubbed people the wrong way. And lastly, we have the scandal in South Africa. When the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls opened in Johannesburg in 2007, Nelson Mandela, Tina Turner, Sidney Poitier, Spike Lee, and Oprah herself attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony celebrating the landmark boarding school, founded with $40 million of Oprah's money. But less than a year later, 6 of the 152 students who had been personally selected by Oprah to attend the institution came forward to accuse dorm matron Virginia Tiny McGabo of mistreating them and taking advantage of them. "It has shaken me to my core," Oprah said, of returning to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate the allegations and personally speak with the girls. "This has been one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating experiences in my life. It seems like she and the organization did not look into who they were hiring and how the operation was running, as this all could have been avoided." Starting off, we have lying about writing a song. In a 2008 interview with Marie Claire UK, Beyoncé implied that some of the lyrics to her 2006 single Irreplaceable weren't actually aimed at Jay-Z. But then controversy arose over the writing credits on Irreplaceable. Now, singer-songwriter Ne-Yo told MTV apparently Beyoncé was at a show somewhere, and right before the song came on, she said, "I wrote this for all my ladies," and then the song came on. "The song is a co-write, I wrote the lyrics, I wrote all the lyrics. Beyoncé helped me with the melodies and the harmonies and the vocal arrangement, and that makes it a co-write. Meaning my contribution and her contribution made the song what it is." Now in 2011, Ne-Yo said he wrote the song for himself, but thought that it would be better suited for Beyoncé. Now some of Beyoncé's fans read Ne-Yo's remarks as disrespectful towards her. However, he clarified his comment later through Twitter, writing, "I said I originally wrote the song for me. Once I realized how the song comes across if sung by a guy, that's when I decided to give it away." Next up is the tone-deaf performance. Beyonce took part in a 9/11 memorial concert in New York City, but many people believe her performing her song Diva was in poor taste and wonder why she didn't get cancelled. In the track she says, "No passengers on my plane," as well, "This is a stick-up," which she fiercely sang in front of the families of 9/11 victims while putting her arms out like an airplane. The crowd got quiet back there, with someone noting under the YouTube's clips comments, "The literal buildings on the screen falling down, WTF," referring to the set's backdrop. Now, a Redditor also wrote, "But how is this the first time I've heard of this? This is genuinely one of the more tone-deaf performances I've seen. Who greenlit this?" Now, a commenter said that Jay-Z was to blame as he produced the concert, but yeah, that's just not a good look at all. Then there's Nothing Happened in the Elevator. In 2014, security footage was released of Solange attacking her brother-in-law Jay-Z in an elevator at a Met Gala after party. Now, Beyonce was there as well, stuck between her sister and her husband, but chose not to intervene and stood there as the two duked it out. Now, the family attempted to brush it under the rug with a vague PR statement, but it became a pop culture moment. Now, Beyonce even references the altercation in her song Flawless remix, saying, "Of course sometimes go down when it's $1 billion on an elevator." Now, we still haven't found out the reason why Solange attacked Jay-Z, but fans have speculated that she was angry with his infidelity to Beyonce, but nothing has ever been confirmed that was the reason why she attacked him. Now we have stealing songs. Beyonce's album Renaissance was met with multiple critiques after its release. Just one day after the album dropped, Khalees slammed Beyonce for using a sample of her 2003 hit song Milkshake, allegedly without her permission. On Instagram she wrote, "My mind is blown too because the level of disrespect and utter ignorance of all three parties involved is astounding. I heard about this the same way everyone else did. Nothing is ever as it seems. Some of the people in this business have no soul or integrity, and they have everyone fooled. It's not about me being jealous, it has to do with the fact from one artist to another that you should have the decency and common sense and courtesy to call. There are bullies and secrets and gangsters in this industry that smile and get away with it until someone says enough is enough." Khalees also called out producers Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo at the same time. But it's clear that most fans just focused on her beef with Beyonce. Though neither Beyonce nor her team publicly commented on the post, they ended up removing the sample from the Spotify version of Energy in August 2022, but to this day you can still find it on Apple Music. Moving on to the Dubai performance. When Beyonce returned to the stage for her first live performance in 5 years, it really left fans divided. Now, to give you some background, her album Renaissance was labeled as a celebration of queer culture and made in collaboration with some of the LGBTQ community's biggest names. Now, it pays tribute to dance music that emerged out of the gay community and also references the 1800s drag ballrooms in Harlem, New York. So when the location for Beyonce's long-awaited concert was revealed, it did not sit well with many of her fans. Now, she was reportedly paid around $25 million to perform at a star-studded private launch event for Dubai's Hotel Atlantis the Royal. While many fans rejoiced at Beyonce's return to the stage, others pointed out the hypocrisy of performing in the UAE, where same-sex relationships are flat out illegal. Freelance music journalist Abigail Firth spoke to BBC News Beat about the controversy and pointed to the fact that Beyonce's recent work is indebted to LGBT culture. She said, "It seems like a really misguided choice from her. She's obviously a multimillionaire anyway, she didn't really need to do this, she didn't really need the money," and that's probably where some of the backlash is stemming from as well. Then there's her rude lyrics. In August of 2022, Beyonce announced that she would change the lyrics to her song Heated after backlash from disability rights activists. The track includes a slang term derived from an ableist word, which is considered a slur among people with cerebral palsy. Now, at the time, her team released a statement saying, "The word not used intentionally in a harmful way will be replaced." Not only that, but Beyonce has also had other slip-ups with controversial lyrics. When her 2013 song Partition dropped, Monica Lewinsky complained about being in the song, which of course referenced her 1998 scandal. In an essay for Vanity Fair, she wrote, "Thanks Beyonce, but if we're verbing, I think you meant Bill Clinton all on my gown." Now let's talk about the insensitive song. Speaking of inappropriate lyrics, this one got her in even more trouble. The song EXO from Beyonce's 2013 album begins with audio of NASA's officer talking about a major malfunction involving the Challenger space shuttle, which exploded just over a minute after its launch. 7 astronauts passed away in the tragic incident, so it seemed a little insensitive for Beyonce to use the audio in her song. Now, in a statement to ABC News, the singer tried to explain that she intended for the audio to be a tribute to those who died aboard the Challenger. "My heart goes out to the families of those lost in the Challenger disaster," she said at the time. The song EXO was recorded with the sincerest intention to help heal those who have lost loved ones and to remind us that unexpected things happen, so love and appreciate every minute that you have with those who mean the most to you. The songwriters included the audio in tribute to the unselfish work of the Challenger crew with the hope that they will never be forgotten. Now we have stealing performances. Beyonce's 2011 Billboard Music Awards performance was one for the books, but it did cause some controversy. She did a rendition of Run the World Girls, but then she was accused of copying Italian singer Lorella Cuccari in a performance she did 1 year prior in 2010. They later explained being inspired by her, adding that she had no intentions of stealing her stunning visuals. "My makeup artist showed me the performance of Lorella Cuccari a year ago, and it inspired me so much. I then met with the talented people who worked on it. The technology and concept were so genius. Thank God for YouTube, or I would have never been exposed to something so inspiring. I've never worked so hard on anything in my life as that performance for the Billboard Awards," she told AOL Music following the backlash. But being inspired and directly copying, though, are two different things. Up next is stealing visuals. Beyonce, Sony, Columbia, and the pop stars Parkwood Entertainment were all sued by indie filmmaker Matthew Folks over the visuals to her 2016 album Lemonade. Now, according to Matthew, Beyonce jacked 9 scenes from his film Paranoia. He also claimed that he sent Parkwood Entertainment the short film, so he knows that several employees who worked on Lemonade had access to it. Now, 1 month after his June 2016 filing, Beyonce's attorneys hit back, arguing visuals including graffiti and person with heads down, a parking garage, and side-lit ominous figures do not fall under copyright infringement. Now, they also argued that the narrative was completely different, as Lemonade dealt with portraying an African-American woman who progresses through stages of suspicion, denial, anger, and ultimately reconciliation in her relationship. Now, the US District Judge Jed Rakoff agreed, dismissing the suit in September 2016, but hey, I can see the similarities. And finally, we have Jay-Z's infidelity. Throughout Beyonce's and Jay-Z's relationship, there's been much speculation about them breaking up, cheating, and getting divorced. Though the couple have never directly addressed the claim, Beyonce pretty much confirmed it on her album Lemonade, with the lyrics including, "This is your final warning, you know I give you life, if you try this again, you gon' lose your wife, and he only want me when I'm not there, he better call Becky with the good hair." Yeah, this is her pretty much deciding to call him out for cheating, and he did. He confirmed it. He said, "I was really proud of the music she made, and she was really proud of the art I released, and you know, at the end of the day, we have a really healthy respect for one another's craft. I think she's amazing," Jay-Z told T Magazine in 2017. He said, "You know, most people walk away, and like divorce rate is 50% or something, cause most people can't see themselves. The hardest thing is seeing the pain on someone's face that you caused, and then having to deal with it yourself. We did the hard work of going to therapy, we love each other, so we really put in the work for years. I like to believe that we're in a better place today, and I'm proud of the father and husband that I am today." At number 10, we have how Priscilla was only 14 when they met. We know Elvis has a knack for being eccentric and a real crowd pleaser, but when he is a 26-year-old man who had already begun establishing his career, started dating the 14-year-old Priscilla, it should have caused way more outrage than it did. In 1959, there was over a 10-year age gap between them, and she was legally still a minor. Her parents weren't too fond of the thought of her daughter dating a literal grown adult who happened
happened to be a musician, but they begrudgingly let it slide because he was rich and famous. Priscilla and her family were living in Germany at the time, and the only reason they met was because Elvis was drafted there with the US military, seeing as he was enlisted in the height of his prime. So not only did he have an established music career, but he was old enough to be a US soldier when she was just going into high school. To add to all of this, when he was sent back to the States, he up and left her with no contact and barely so much as a goodbye. This brings us to our next point, about how he was a terrible partner. Before he and Priscilla were married, he knew exactly who he was, what he looked like, and the effect he had on young women. So, in a very scummy fashion, he would often create narratives to convince women to spend the night with him, whether it be for physical intimacy or emotional intimacy. Actress Sybil Shepherd said that she had a brief affair with him, and she was pretty disappointed. She even claimed it was highly overrated. According to Priscilla, however, he was skilled in every way except for the actual deed itself. She was raised Catholic, so maintaining purity before marriage was a must, and he abided by that, but barely. After they were married, he gave Priscilla a child, Lisa Marie, and he refused to have any sort of intimacy with her after she was born, and that is where the marriage began to fall apart. Apparently, up until his passing, he needed to have a woman in his bed, whether or not he was performing or whether or not he was married. This leads us to point number 8, about how often he really cheated on her. I mean, when you're that rich and famous, he used that as an excuse to justify his actions, which is already an awful thing to do. It began when they actually started dating, seeing as he was mucking around with 14-year-old Priscilla. He also had a spicy thing with his private secretary, who was only 19 at the time. He would often bounce around from woman to woman just to feel something different every night. And of course, he could get away with it because he's Elvis. When he left Germany and went back to Tennessee, he got into a short-lived relationship with Anita Wood, and she discovered he would often have wild nights with young girls. She even found a letter from Priscilla begging him to move her to the States so they could be together again. This is when Anita saw behind the curtain, and she left him shortly after. But because Priscilla was young and naive, she would have been willing when Elvis introduced new players to the game, if you catch my drift. His excuse for his unfaithful actions was that he was famous and that's just who he was, and she could accept him for who he was or leave. In a healthy relationship, that isn't a position you should ever be in, famous or not. At number 7, we have his use of substances. It's no secret that Elvis has severe substance issues. It was the 60s, so even soda pop had substances mixed in. Linda Thompson was one of his past relationships, and in her autobiography, she went into detail about what it was like being with him while he was struggling. Apparently, while they were together, she had saved his life multiple times because she found him unconscious face down on the floor or having taken too much prescription medication. She said he felt like he couldn't be harmed by the medications he was taking, even if it was far too much. She said that he had over a dozen different medication bottles on his nightstand when they went to Vegas for their first trip together. It got to a point where he would take an absurd amount of sleeping pills to sleep through the entire day so he would be rested enough to stay up all night. All the medication really did was have a hand in his passing. At number 6, we have how Priscilla was a co-producer of the movie. It isn't a dark Elvis secret, but it makes the amount of stuff he did in the movie all the more haunting. She wanted to make sure that it was both accurate and dramatic at the same time, and so that she could recreate scenes that accurately represented her time with Elvis. Priscilla's book, Elvis and Me, gave very good details about the situations she was put in, and she had no fear dragging his name through the mud, considering everything he put her through. The most interesting part is that when the casting director for the movie did an interview with Lisa Marie, Elvis and Priscilla's daughter, she didn't see what Priscilla was talking about, and she thinks her mother made him seem way more awful than he actually was, and that her book was vengeful and hateful, and Lisa Marie couldn't understand why. Lisa Marie actually had issues very similar to her father's, so it makes sense why she would be so blind to his personal life problems. At number 5, we have how often Elvis left. Now, this one is less shocking than some of the others, which is why it comes right in the middle of our list. We knew he left Priscilla high and dry when she was a teenager, but even when they were living together, he would often be gone for months at a time, just to be home for a few days, to leave again. This took a serious toll on Priscilla's mental health. He would leave for many different reasons. Sometimes it was tours, sometimes it was for movies, other times for interviews, but she was at home alone all the same. Well, at one point, she decided she had enough and made a surprise appearance in Los Angeles where he was filming at the time. Instead of him being happy and welcoming his wife to the set, he threatened her and sent her away, and said that she needed to accept that that was who he was. This should have been her breaking point, but instead she still married him, which led to a very mentally damaging relationship that only lasted a few more years before she decided it was time to leave him. At number 4, we have how Priscilla was barely legal when they were married. Now, I've mentioned it a few times in the list already that she was only 14 when they met and dated for the first time. But when he finally paid her to move in with him, she was still in high school. Her parents were very against the idea of her moving in with him across the world, but reluctantly they agreed, and she finished her final year in high school in Tennessee. But because she was living a very lavish and fancy lifestyle, being Elvis's girlfriend, she barely managed to pass her final year. They got married in 1976, which would have made Priscilla 22 at the time. She had enough time to graduate and get into the groove of adulthood. The following year, she found out she was pregnant with Elvis's child, and like I mentioned before, that was one of many stakes in their marriage. She was definitely too young to be married and have kids, and it affected her mental and emotional state as well as her physical well-being. At number 3, we have how a book was linked to his passing. In 1977, 3 of Elvis's former personal bodyguards got together to write a book titled Elvis, What Happened? It was basically a tell-all memoir about Elvis and all of the shady deals and things he was involved with, and it gave a deeper look into his substance use and who he really was as a person. Well, the book was released just 2 weeks before his passing, so people theorized that he caught wind of the book's release and couldn't cope with people seeing how awful he really was. Before his passing, he actually tried to stop the book from being published by attempting to bribe the publishers. They refused the offer because they knew the book would make waves across the world. Apparently, when he found out it was released, his heart problems got worse, seeing as he already had high blood pressure, which didn't help with the other bodily issues he was enduring at the time. People think this contributed to his passing, but that was never confirmed, considering he had a whole pharmacy in his system when he passed. At number 2, we have how he wanted to act in serious movies. It's not nearly as dark as some of the other things on the list, but it's definitely an interesting point to make. Elvis got his big break as a musician, as everyone knows, but he was also an actor for a while at the height of his stardom. He often played in summer beach movies or comedies, but he really wanted to get into playing more serious and genuine roles. His manager, Tom Parker, didn't take him where he wanted to be, and he felt like he led him astray. However, Parker did hold up to his end of the bargain. He promised Elvis he would make him millions, which he did, whether it be for the right or wrong reasons. When Priscilla was helping work on the film, she said the director did a great job of recreating Elvis the way she saw him, and how he really was from her point of view. The last we heard, Priscilla and Tom Parker are on good terms now, all things considered. And last but not least, at number 1, we have having his mirrors changed. This point makes number 1 because of the amount of concern it should have raised. When he was still young and married to Priscilla, he had a Beverly Hills home that was far from welcoming. He and his guy friends would invite masses of dancers and showgirls to have nights with them. But it wasn't just questionable adult fun. Elvis had installed 2-way mirrors in a lot of the walls of the bedrooms so he could spy on the other people he invited without them knowing. And he also kept an eye on anyone who was in the house. Priscilla decided it was finally time to put her foot down and say they needed to be changed. Well, after his many affairs, he did change them to be one-way mirrors. But it was so he could have full privacy in his own home, with no opportunities for anyone to secretly be filming him, or be spying on him. How hypocritical. At the end of the day, his life wasn't all it was cracked up to be, and with the release of the movie Priscilla, we are getting a better look into how he really was as a person, instead of just being the character we see on screen and on stage.
Coming in at 10, Jay-Z and Rihanna had an affair. Now this seems to be a a rumor within a rumor, thanks to Jay-Z playing an instrumental role in Rihanna's career. Some even say that Rihanna actually made this rumor up herself to gain popularity. However, some say Ring the Alarm by Beyonce is about Rihanna and the affair she had with Jay-Z. There is so much swirling around this one. However, the rumor that most believe is that Solange Knowles beat up Jay-Z in the infamous elevator video because they had a run-in with Rihanna. Juicy indeed. They 100%. In at 9, Cher had ribs removed. According to this rumor, my favorite person in the world, Cher, had some ribs removed. Cher is known for her incredible pop hits such as Believe, If I Could Turn Back Time, and Gypsy Tramps and Thieves. However, she's also been outspoken about her plastic surgery. While her body has always been flawless, even at the age of 73, would smash, Cher refused to admit that she had 2 ribs removed to give her a smaller waist, something that has been speculated for years. I mean, to each their own. I don't really care. Ribs or not, still love her. But I have my doubts. Cher is loud and I think she would have voiced this. Nothing but respect for my queen. Love each and every rib. In at 8, Magic Johnson got HIV at an orgy with Eddie Murphy. Yes, this one is a lot. In 1991, Irvin Magic Johnson announced that he had HIV, the result of a number of sexual encounters with women over the course of his basketball career. However, some people weren't sold on this, and rumors were abuzz that he actually got infected after an orgy Eddie Murphy threw that was attended by a handful of prostitutes. Further speculation ties Jermaine Stewart, the We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off singer, who died of complications to Johnson as well. In at 7, Khloe Kardashian is OJ's daughter. I mean, this one is a tale as old as time and has some merit, I think. If you look closely, there is a striking resemblance between sisters Kim and Kourtney. However, Khloe looks nothing like her sisters. This is rumored to be because her mother Kris had an affair with O.J. Simpson, a close friend of the family's, and that the incarcerated star might actually be Khloe's real father. However, Kris quickly hopped on the content train and had Khloe take a paternity test on an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which proved it was false. Sure, Jan. I mean, unless they actually got OJ to do it as well, I don't see how that works. We know Kris is the mother, we just want to know who the father is. In at 6, Oprah and Gayle are lovers. This has been a long time rumor that has floated around the internet for years. The theory goes that Oprah Winfrey and Gayle aren't just friends, they're actually a secret couple, and I'm so here for it. Gayle has no idea where the rumor came from or how it started, stating, "I've given up trying to figure that out. At this stage, if you still think that, it's on you. Honestly, Gayle, I still think it, and it's on me. And you're probably on Oprah right now." In at 5, Blake Shelton supports Paul Ryan. Blake Shelton was once spotted alongside Paul Ryan with the singer snapped shaking hands with the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, at a restaurant. Of course, because of this, everyone believed that the two were in cahoots. However, Shelton was quick to shut down the rumors, saying that they just happened to bump into each other in matching outfits. Sure, they were both wearing camo, looked like they'd just come from shooting something. They're friends. In at 4, the NBA suspended Michael Jordan for gambling. In '93, after the Chicago Bulls won 3 championships, the NBA reportedly launched an investigation into whether the Chicago Bulls guard put bets on the game in which he played. Michael Jordan admitted to gambling, but insisted that the habit never affected his livelihood. Shortly after this, he stunned everyone by quitting the NBA to play baseball, and the investigation was ultimately dropped. The theory is that NBA chief David Stern and Jordan colluded to have him quit for a period of time so that he could re-enter the league and avoid all of the mess and not be in trouble. Respect. In at 3, Taylor Swift dumped Calvin Harris for buying sex. According to this rumor, when DJ Calvin Harris was spotted leaving a cheap massage parlor known for illegally selling sex, he was very quick to deny the rumors. However, that didn't stop the rumors from happening. Then of course his relationship with Taylor Swift ended not long after. Could there be a connection between the two? Did she end the relationship because he was paying for sex? Who knows? Who cares? In at 2, Mikey from the Life commercial stomach exploded. This urban legend centers on Mikey, the kid who hated everything except Life cereal. The rumor was that that young boy had ingested a mixture of Coke and Pop Rocks, and in turn it made his stomach explode, with the boy dying instantly. However, to debunk this theory, John Gilchrist is very much alive, but will the combination kill you? That's something we don't want to find out. It probably doesn't kill you, but you never know. Should I try it on camera? I'm turning 27. I'll do it on my birthday and then we'll see if I live. 27 Club, here I come. And finally, coming in at number 1, Jennifer Lawrence caused Chris Pratt's divorce. According to some theorists, J-Law caused the split between Chris Pratt and Anna Faris. Crazy I know, but possibly true. When Pratt starred alongside Lawrence in the movie Passengers, rumors were abuzz that the pair were having a steamy affair. It even became so rampant that Chris's now ex-wife Anna addressed the rumors, with all of them adamantly denying it. However, Faris later admitted publicly that her concern about her husband's alleged infidelity was a factor that led to their eventual divorce. More bizarre still, Lawrence is still friends with both Pratt and Faris. Way to play both sides.
Number 10. Jada's biases. When the Oscars So White controversy erupted in 2016, Will and Jada were among the most vocal critics of the Academy. For the second year in a row, all 20 of the actors nominated in the lead and supporting role categories were white, something that had not happened since 1998. Jada released a much publicized and highly mocked video explaining why she was boycotting the event, hoping to shine a spotlight on institutional racism. However, the majority of Hollywood was well aware that Jada was being a massive hypocrite, as during an episode of Red Table Talk, the actress confessed to her own tendency to judge others, revealing she specifically had a problem with blonde white women. According to Jada herself, blonde hair on a woman just kinda sets her off, and she's had to hold herself back a few times. She went on to reveal that she had actually turned down several interviews over the years simply due to the interviewer being a white blonde lady. She claims that her bias is due to her history of being bullied by women with those physical traits growing up. Now, I don't know, I got bullied all the time, but you don't see me running away from everyone who wears camo. Number 9, bad mom. Rumors have been flying around for years that Willow and Jaden Smith basically raised themselves. Their upbringing was nothing to scoff at. Jaden was on track to become an actor after starring in the 2008 remake of the classic Karate Kid series, alongside martial arts and opera legend Jackie Chan, but later shifted his focus to more entrepreneurial side of things, developing his own fashion brand, which has garnered him massive success. His sister Willow opted to stick with her creative roots, however, and has made quite the name for herself in the hip-hop genre. Unfortunately, their behavior comes from a place of neglect. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jaden confronted his parents, calling out their terrible parenting skills. With both being so busy in their careers, they were never home to care for the youngsters. Jaden and Willow recount spending a majority of their childhood with various nannies and teachers, only seeing their parents between projects or if they were working with them, like Jaden and Will in The Pursuit of Happiness. Willow has backed up her brother's story, claiming that the parenting skills forced them to become mentally mature at a very young age, which may play some part in Jaden's success at just 24. Despite appearing to be a happy family unit in the media, the reality is Jaden and Willow have been raising themselves for a very long time. Number 8, their relationship is driven by money. The Smith family has been at the top of the news storm for a long time, since it was announced that the Red Table Talk show was going to be cancelled, and since Will Smith got a little too mad on stage. One topic that was brought up on her talk show before its cancellation was the revelation of an entanglement between Pinkett and a singer-songwriter named August Alsina during a brief break that the couple was taking in the early 2000s. Pinkett was quick to bounce back though after breaking up with Will, entangling with August, and eventually getting back with Will to continue their marriage. It's not all sunshines and rainbows though, as the couple still has marital issues to this day and have been plagued with cheating rumors ever since. They've been thrown even further under the bus by their own kids, Willow and Jaden, who claim that the family is highly dysfunctional behind the scenes. Together, Jada and Will carry around a dark storm cloud of negative energy and spread it to everyone they interact with. You would think these guys would just split and save each other the mental hassle, but just look at Will's house. That thing could fit thousands of people inside of it. Them splitting up would mean losing their fancy house, and we wouldn't want that, huh? We wouldn't want that, real estate brokers of Los Angeles, would we? Number 7, she's manipulative. Many things about Jada's personality made celebrities speculate that she may have a hidden evil personality deep within her. While the 94th Academy Awards were very interesting, after host Chris Rock made a joke about Jada's balding head, Will Smith initially laughed, but then he looked at Jada, who is seen rolling her eyes and giving him an "are you kidding me" kind of look. The look was enough to force Will's smile away and cause him to do a complete 180, taking the stage to defend his wife. Jada is most certainly the reason that this situation took place, despite claiming that she can't make Will do anything. Maybe she didn't do it, but she did encourage him to defend her name, and she did have the power to stop her husband from ruining his career. It's not hard to hold someone's hand and go, "Honey, I am mad, but please leave Chris Rock alone." Number 6, she made Snoop Dogg cry. Just after Kobe Bryant passed away in 2020, Snoop Dogg was quick to call out Gate King after she stated in a TV interview that in the past, Kobe was accused of making unwanted advances on a woman that wasn't his wife. In an Instagram video, Snoop Dogg would call out King, and in the process, he insulted King's appearance before telling her to back off B before he came to get her. She would bring Snoop Dogg on Red Table Talk, where she would embarrass him not just in front of her mother and her daughter, but in front of the entire world, after she told the rapper that she felt hurt on behalf of all women when she watched the video of him going after Gayle. As a result, Snoop would be so embarrassed that he would make another video on Instagram where he apologized to King by saying, when you're wrong, you gotta fix it. This was a derogatory manner based off emotions, and he was raised better than that, so he wanted to apologize to her publicly for the language that he used. Jada somehow made Snoop Dogg retract a statement. That man is a sweetheart, but he can be terrifying if he wants to. This isn't really a rumor, I just wanted the world to know that she made a friendly giant cry on the internet. Number 5. Cheating scandals. For a long time now, Will and Jada have attempted to hide their various marriage misdeeds from the media, but they've never actually been successful at it. While both have been rumored to have been cheating on each other multiple times, it was Jada who was confirmed to be the real cheater. While rumors have been circulating that Will was romantically involved with his co-star Margot Robbie from Focus, those were quickly laid to rest thanks for the entire crew of the project confirming that any photos taken of them on set and in character. Jada, however, was most certainly cheating on Will a few years prior with her Hawthorne co-star Mark Anthony. And the proof? Well, Will walked in on them getting jiggy with it and was reduced to tears according to Jada. While they were able to hide it at the time, the conversation that took place between herself and Will on the now cancelled Red Table Talk was quite revealing. Not only did this cheating scandal take place, but Jada briefly entangled with a musician named August Alsina when they separated back in the day. This woman really needs to chill. Number 4. She was forced to marry Will. Not only has Jada gone on to roast Will Smith for his actions at both the Oscars and in life in general, but she also shared in an episode of Red Table Talk in 2018 that she cried while walking down the aisle on her wedding day because she never wanted to get married. Rumors had been spread for years that the couple were somehow forced to be together. In the video, Jada could be seen talking about her wedding with Will Smith, and in this, she confesses that she didn't want to get married. She only ended up doing it because her mother forced them to, because Jada was pregnant with Jaden while the two were still dating. She claimed that her mother was not going to be accepting the newborn if the two were just still dating when he was born, so they decided to tie the knot. She then went on to describe how terrible her wedding day was. Oh, was it terrible when everything was really expensive and pretty? That sucks. Number 3. She's a scientist. Although Jada has tried to claim that she isn't a member of the Church of Science, she has been connected to the controversial religion for years. To a point, even an ex-scientist named Leah Remini told the Daily Beast in 2017 that she knew Jada. She's been involved with the church for a long time, and she claimed that she had never seen Will there, that she saw Jada at the Celebrity Center. Lee would then later appear alongside Jada in 2018 on her talk show where the pair settled the dispute, where Jada claims that the stories are outlandish, but that she did attend some events. Number 2. She wanted to get divorced for years. Breakup rumors have plagued this couple since they first got together in 1997, but they rarely ever came forward to comment on the gossip. However, when the whole Margot Robbie rumor thing began to circulate, Will decided to finally speak up and clear the record. Himself and Jada were not getting divorced, and he was not dating Margot Robbie. Jada backed up the statement on Entertainment Tonight when the question of why people seemed to want them to fall apart came up. While they presented a united front, conversations later on the matter suggested that these two had at least spoken about it at one point or another. During Will's appearance on Red Table Talk, the topic came up again, and Will said that he would never get divorced as it was something that he had already done and would like to avoid repeating if possible. Jada laughed and said, yeah, not an option. But when she had Toni Braxton on as a guest, she claimed that she simply wasn't mature enough to get divorced, which makes it sound like she's down to leave Will, she just can't do it right now. Jada is just counting down the days till she finally turns 18 mentally and kicks his butt to the curb. And at number 1, she yelled at Barbie. Although Jada and Will have been married since 1997, it's clear that she doesn't think her marriage is really as strong as it is, to the point where she once confidently felt that Margot Robbie could sweep in at any moment and steal her man. Even though the couple isn't an open marriage, Jada can be a hardcore jealous person when it comes down to it. She lashed out at Margot on set of the film Focus while herself and Will were filming one day. Unfortunately, her biases towards blonde white women got the better of her in this situation, as there was lots of proof that Will and Margot were just friends, but hey, why focus on hardcore evidence? Number 10. Amber Heard. According to the internet, Amber Heard is not only an actress, but she's also a humanitarian and a social activist. Okay, sure. She got her big film break starring in the horror movie All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, but I was genuinely shocked when I saw what movies she's also been in. Did you guys know that she was 406 in the movie Zombieland? And she was Seth Rogen's love interest in Pineapple Express. Oh, and she's the reason that Aquaman 2 is gonna be delayed. Since 2016, Amber Heard and her ex-husband Johnny Depp have been throwing accusations at each other left and right. They were accusing each other of domestic altercations that may or may not have taken place during their brief one-year marriage. Those accusations were confirmed during their very public trial, in which Depp was suing Amber for defamation over a 2018 op-ed for the Washington Post. While the trial brought to light some disturbing truths on both sides, the biggest shock came when, after several days of interviews, witness statements, and mountains of paperwork, a jury found that Amber's statements were in fact false and granted Depp the defamation. Amber had filed a countersuit, which she also kind of technically won, but it was way less than what Johnny got. Sound files, video footage, and witnesses gave concrete evidence that Amber was the instigator in many of their disputes, and that she was subsequently fired from any and all future projects. Number 9. Ellen DeGeneres. In her first on-air appearance since announcing the end of her eponymous daytime talk show, Ellen DeGeneres called the press cycle around allegations of toxicity at her workplace orchestrated and misogynistic. The announcement that her show would be cancelled came after months of receiving negative press following a BuzzFeed article reporting former employees alleging the environment was racially insensitive, filled with harassment, and, hey, bullying too. Ellen maintained in interviews that these allegations were not the reason that she would be leaving the show, simply claiming that the program was no longer challenging for her. While the BuzzFeed report did not allege toxic behavior by Ellen herself, several former staff members claimed the whole "Be Kind" motto was not genuine at all, which was reflected in a Twitter thread published by comedian Kevin T. Porter. He asked people to send in their horror stories about the host's rudeness over the years and received over 2,000 replies. Warner Brothers opened an investigation and included that there were some flaws in the day-to-day management of the studio. Following this, Ellen appeared on the 18th season premiere of her show in 2020 and made an on-air apology to viewers, claiming responsibility, later stating that there was no way that she could know the true nature of the work environment due to the 255 employees that worked for her across multiple buildings. Ever heard of a complaint box? Number 8. Katy Perry collects hair. The singer was once asked during an interview a very simple and cute question of, hey, what's in your purse? And fans perhaps hoped that she would respond with like a bottle of Killer Queen, which was her, cologne, or cupcake crumbs, but Katy Perry answered with, oh, it's just a big empty bag, and then went on to describe what used to be in it. You see, she claimed that while in attendance at her first Grammy Awards ceremony, that she got to share a dressing room with Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift. Now, with all that excitement, you'd think she'd ask for a picture, right? Yeah, no, she asked them for a lock of each of their hair, which Katy found, quote, like totally awesome, but hey, that's weird because ugh. She then elaborated that she would tie little bows to each of them and like put them in her purse. This sounds so made up, like how could that be true? No, Miley and Taylor actually backed that story up online, and Perry claims to this day that Miley Cyrus is the most famous person in her purse and in her contact books. Nice. Number 7. Josie Smollett. In 2019, American actor Josie Smollett, best known for his role in the Mighty Ducks movies and his time as Jamal Leon on the show Empire, approached the Chicago Police Department to report a hate crime. According to himself, 2 unknown individuals appeared from the shadows and began harassing Josie. They flung racial and homophobic slurs at Smollett, while one attacker poured a flammable substance on him, and the other began to insert his head into some rope. News of this altercation made headlines in the following days, as it was announced that an investigation would be made to help piece together what exactly happened. Well, too bad for Josie, the Chicago PD are pretty good at their jobs. They quickly found that the 2 strangers in question were 2 Nigerian brothers named Abimbola and Olambinjo, who had worked as extras on the set of Empire. They raided the brothers' home and found documents confirming the pair had been paid $3,500 each to stage the event. They had video footage of the brothers purchasing the masks, gloves, and hats that are seen in the altercation footage. They also found receipts for the liquid and rope used during the attack. Hey, not a great time to keep track of your finances, guys. In 2019, Smollett was charged with a Class 4 felony for filing a false police report, and on top of that, the Chicago PD was suing him for $130,000 for wasting their time and resources on a fake incident. In the end, he spent 150 days in jail and coughed up a lot of the cash. Number 6. Kylie Cosmetics. Kylie Jenner is the youngest of the Kardashian clan and is extremely successful for her age. In 2019, she made the cover of Forbes magazine as the youngest self-made billionaire ever, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta, a beauty salon company, which would allow the brand previously only available online and in random pop-up stores to be placed on shelves and in Ulta's 1,000 plus stores. This is unfortunate considering the true nature of just where these products come from. You see, rumors of Kylie's mistreatment for her employees were circulating for weeks after several claims from former employees were made public. It turns out every single thing that they said was true. Many people at the factory that mixed and packaged her makeup and beauty products would report that they were never actually given proper safety equipment that you would require to do that job. They were only given hairnets, lab coats, and safety goggles, leaving their hands and faces completely exposed. Workers would regularly report migraines and chemical burns varying in severity. Now, if this isn't bad enough, they were also forced to act as human test subjects for Kylie's new products. This woman was on the cover of Forbes magazine. She was so proud of her company for not testing products on animals, but like, can we agree that using people is like a billion times worse? Number 5. King Charles's affair. The recently crowned King of England has not always played by the rules. In 1981, Prince Charles married Lady Diana, who was 20 years old at the time, leaving a 13-year age gap between them. Behind closed doors, it was speculated that Charles was never actually in love with Diana in the first place, and that was later proven to be true. While things seemed pleasant on the outside, behind the scenes, Charles was secretly meeting up and having an affair with his ex-girlfriend Camilla Bowles. The alleged relationship was written about in the 1992 Diana, Her True Story, but in 1994, Charles actually confirmed the allegations in a documentary, because that's the perfect place to do it. The couple filed for a divorce in 1996, and Diana died 1 year later. While the now king made it clear that he had no plans to remarry, he ended up getting remarried in 2005 to, oh hey look, it's Camilla Bowles, shocking. Number 4. Arnold's love child. Action movie star and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger made headlines in 2011 with the revelation that an old rumor was in fact true. In 1996, Arnold was married to Maria Shriver, a member of the Kennedy family, and they were prepping to welcome their new son Christopher into the world. Arnie didn't prep by building them cribs or baby-proofing the outlets though. Instead, he decided to have an affair with his longtime housekeeper Mildred Baina. Around the same time Christopher was born, so was his illegitimate son, Joseph. Rumors began to rise after his wife noticed the strange and sudden absence of the housekeeper and wondered if there might have been a more sinister reason for her departure. It was later revealed in 2011 that Arnold decided to address those rumors and claim Joseph as his own. Turns out Arnold had given Mildred a large severance package back in the day so she could properly raise their son, leaving on what they call good terms. Well, eventually, after many years of trying and lots of paperwork, Maria and Arnold were divorced, and he's now able to spend more time as a papa. Number 3. Donald Trump's criminal activities. In 2006, Donald Trump was known solely as a wealthy real estate mogul with a hit reality TV show, The Apprentice. He had recently been married to one Melania Trump, and they had a newly born 4-month-old baby. However, reports leaked that Trump was in the midst of an affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels after she filed a civil suit claiming the contract he made her sign to keep quiet was invalid. Daniels claimed that herself and Trump had shared an intimate relationship for roughly a year during his marriage to Melania. These weren't the first allegations of an affair, as Trump has been back and forth in the media since the 1970s, being accused by like 26 women of misconduct. While these rumors never held any merit at first, the truth was finally set free. After being the most chaotic president in recent history, it was announced in March that Trump was going to be arrested on 34 separate violations of a New York law against falsifying business documents to conceal another crime. Over the years, he was essentially taking company money and using it to pay off anyone who may have been a threat to him, both personally or politically. Thanks for the free money, Donnie. Number 2. Paula Deen. Paula Deen is basically Martha Stewart just from the South. Paula opened her first restaurant in a Best Western lodge in Savannah and called it The Lady in 1991. She went on to own and operate several of her own restaurants, as well as hosting a very popular cooking show called Paula's Home Cookin'. Paula shared her recipes for delicious home-cooked meals and took the cooking world by storm, until 2013 when it was revealed that maybe Paula shouldn't be allowed to have a phone. Rumors had been circulating of a more sinister persona buried beneath the warm, sweet Southern southern lady we saw on TV, and it turned out those rumors were confirmed by Paula herself. Paula admitted to using racial slurs on her social media posts in the past. She would post these rants and aggressive comments, and then she would just immediately delete them to avoid being blasted in the media. Well, hey, the internet's forever, Paula, and Paula's cooking show got cancelled. It's all good though. She started another show on the very successful streaming device Roku. You know, so popular, just so popular. Number 1, Michael Richards. Michael Richards played one of the most famous sitcom characters of all time on one of the most famous sitcoms of all time. He played Cosmo Kramer on the show Seinfeld for 9 years, and in that time made fans laugh and cry with his hilarious antics and wild lifestyle. Unfortunately, those laughs and cries turned to boos and anger. In 2006, Michael made an appearance at the Laugh Factory in California, where he went on a racially fueled tirade after responding to a heckler in the audience. Rumors of his bias had been circulating for a few years, as Richard wasn't a stranger to using choice words and phrases in his stand-up acts that were considered offensive and racist. Since the reveal of his true behavior, Richards has received an enormous amount of backlash and has given up comedy for good. He was also brought on as a guest on Jerry Seinfeld's popular show Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee and addressed the situation with Seinfeld. Richards seemed very apologetic, and he understood that what he said and did was wrong. But hey man, the words that he spoke that night still circulate the internet to this day, so sorry Michael. Number 10, Katy Perry collects hair. The singer was once asked during an interview a very simple and cute question of, "What's in your purse?" And fans perhaps hoped that she would respond with a bottle of Killer Queen or a cupcake crumb. But Katy Perry answered, it's just a big empty bag. But she went on to describe what used to be in the purse. She claimed that while in attendance at her first Grammy Awards ceremony, she got to share a dressing room with Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift. Now with all that excitement, you'd think she'd ask for a picture or something, right? No, she asked them for a lock of each of their hairs, which Katy found, quote, totally awesome. Well, her definition of the word awesome must be very different from ours, because this sounds just creepy as all heck. She then elaborated that she would tie little bows to each of them and put them in her purse. Now this sounds so made up, how could it be true? Well, Miley and Taylor actually backed up this story online, and Perry claims to this day that Miley Cyrus is both the most famous person in her purse and in her contacts. Oh, hey, Katie, I think you dropped something. Number 9, Ellen mistreats employees. In her first on-air appearance since announcing the end of her eponymous daytime talk show, Ellen DeGeneres called the press cycle around allegations of toxicity at her workplace orchestrated and misogynistic. The announcement that her show would be cancelled came after months of receiving negative press following a BuzzFeed article reporting former employees alleging that the environment was racially insensitive, filled with harassment and bullying. Ellen maintained in interviews that these allegations were not the reason that she would be leaving the show, simply claiming that the program was no longer challenging for her. While the BuzzFeed report did not allege toxic behavior by Ellen herself, several former staff members claimed that the whole "be kind" motto she had was not genuine at all, which was reflected in a Twitter thread published by comedian Kevin T. Porter. He asked people to send in their horror stories about the host's rudeness over the years, and he received over 2,000 replies. Warner Brothers opened an investigation and concluded that there were some flaws in the day-to-day management at the studio. Following this, Ellen appeared on the 18th season premiere of her show in 2020 and made an on-air apology to viewers, claiming responsibility, later stating that there was no way she could know the true nature of the work environment due to the 255 employees that worked for her across multiple buildings. Hey, ever heard of a complaint box? Number 8, Prince Charles's affair. He's now the King of England, but he's not always played by the rules. You see, in 1981, Prince Charles, at the time, married Lady Diana, who was 20 years old at the time, leaving a 13-year age gap between them. Behind closed doors, it was speculated that Charles was never in love with Diana in the first place, and it was later proven to be true. While on the outside things seemed pleasant, behind the scenes, Charles was secretly meeting up and having an affair with his ex-girlfriend Camilla Bowles. The alleged relationship was written about in the 1992 Diana Her True Story book, but in 1994, Charles confirmed the allegations in a documentary, because that's a great place to do that. The couple filed for a divorce in 1996, and Diana died 1 year later. While the now king made it clear that he had no plans to remarry, he ended up getting remarried in 2005 to, oh hey, look, it's Camilla Bowles. Shocking. Number 7, Jonathan Majors charges. Jonathan Majors may be familiar to those of you who are fans of the MCU as Kang the Conqueror, the newest big bad addition to the never-ending roster of villains in Marvel's Rogue Gallery. Unfortunately, it looks like he may end up getting the CGI eraser treatment due to an incident in March of this year. Majors was arrested on misdemeanor charges of and following a domestic dispute with his girlfriend. These charges, however, would only be the first domino to fall, as rumors began circulating about similar instances in the past, with many people in both the Yale community, where he went to school, and the New York theater scene, where he studied and practiced performing, claiming Majors was well known for being emotionally violent and professionally abusive, but never physically violent. While Majors is currently in a battle to prove his innocence, claiming the situation to have been blown out of proportions, a series of texts uncovered by his lawyer seemingly proved that there was some merit to the incident. They showed Majors his girlfriend had passed out during the incident and as such had to be hospitalized, where she was reported to have several bruises and scratch marks throughout her entire body. This meant that the charges would stick, and Majors is definitely on his way to the bottomless pit of cancelled celebrities. Number 6. Caitlyn Jenner's transition. Now, this one isn't disturbing because of Caitlyn, it's because of how many people felt that her business needed to be a part of their lives. Let people live, you jerks. Rumors had been circulating of Caitlyn's transition since the early 1970s. The former Olympian had publicly denied these rumors for years, with many family members and friends even backing her story up time and time again. But in 2015, the rumors had begun surfacing again due to Jenner being spotted leaving a doctor's office by a tabloid journalist, supposedly after just receiving estrogen treatments. Jenner had also recently undergone reconstructive surgery, which seemed to only add more fuel to the fire. The photo taken and the speculation began to go viral, despite Jenner not being fully out at the time. But a few months later, following these events, she came out as transgender on a highly publicized interview for Diane Sawyer. In the interview, Jenner expressed the gender identity struggles that she has faced through her entire life, having to hide her true self in order to maintain some macho, sporty persona, and for fear of not being accepted. Even revealing that her first wife, Christy Scott, was the first to really understand her struggles, and despite being divorced in 1998, she's publicly expressed her well wishes towards Caitlyn and how proud she is for being herself. You go, girl. Number 5. Kevin Spacey. For a long time, Kevin Spacey was well known in the Hollywood community as a quality actor with a steady career and no signs of that stopping. That was until October 2017, when a BuzzFeed article, once again, had been published alleging that Spacey had made unwanted advances towards a then 14 Anthony Rapp. Spacey was quick to deny the speculation, claiming it to be another Hollywood scandal to fill screen time, but since the release of that article, 30 more people have come forward with their own allegations against Spacey, ranging from harassment to attempted assault. Spacey pulled back, fake apologizing for what he says must have been some drunken behavior to Rapp, and he even attempted to shift the subject by coming out of the closet. But the truth had already been set free, and becoming a part of the now famous Me Too movement, Spacey was dropped from all projects he was involved in and has been on Hollywood's blacklist ever since, where he rightfully belongs. Number 4. Tiger Woods' infidelity. Since 1999, the famous golfer had not gone a single year without winning at least one golf major championship. In fact, between the years of 1997 and 2008, he had won 14 majors. He was married to a model, had a beautiful home, and pockets full of cash. What more could you want? Apparently for Tiger, he wanted someone that wasn't his wife. In late November 2009, Tiger was seen by neighbors being chased out of his home by his wife, Ellen Nordegren, with a golf club, before peeling out of his driveway in his Escalade and crashing into a fire hydrant and then a tree. He lied unconscious on the street for 6 minutes before coming to, but by that time, it was already too late. News coverage began speculating that there must have been some case of infidelity with Tiger and his wife. And while rumors had speculated that Tiger had a mistress on the side, it turned out that this guy had a lady in every course, so to speak. He admitted on air to the misdoings and lost his endorsements with Nike, Gatorade, Gillette, and Accenture, before announcing his retirement entirely from golf. Woods reportedly confessed to sleeping with 120 women outside of his marriage, but it wasn't until April 2010 when Ellen decided to split up with Woods for good after she discovered that one of those those mistresses was the next door neighbor's daughter who was in college at the time. Go Capanu!
Number 3. John Lennon's investigation. Lead guitarist of the Beatles and an incredible musician in his own right, John Lennon was always very open on his political views. He was anti-war, anti-establishment, and anti-government, proven by his counterculture-esque songs like Give Peace a Chance. This marked Lennon as a national threat, and his theory on what that meant was a little fishy. Many times in interviews, he would claim that he was under surveillance 24/7 and that he was seeing the same cars driving near his residence essentially every day. Now, while at first this was taken as the ramblings of a hippie under the influence of mind-altering narcotics, this theory was proven to be true in 1972 when the Immigration and Naturalization Service tried to deport him after the FBI had confirmed that Lennon was under investigation for over a year. He was able to fight back and stay in the country to continue his anti-war agenda. See, hippies aren't always crazy. Okay? Number 2. Arnold has a secret kid. Action movie star and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger made headlines in 2011 with the revelation that an old rumor was in fact true. In 1996, Arnold was married to Maria Shriver, a member of the Kennedy family, and they were prepping to welcome their new son Christopher into the world. Arnie didn't prep by building cribs or baby-proofing the outlets though. Instead, he chose to have an affair with his longtime housekeeper Mildred Baina. Around the same time Christopher was born, so was his illegitimate son, Joseph. Rumors began to rise after his wife noticed the strange and sudden absence of the housekeeper, and wondered if there may have been a more sinister reason for her departure. It was later revealed in 2011 though that Arnold decided to address the rumors and claim Joseph as his own. It turns out that Arnold had given Mildred a large severance package so that she could properly raise their son, leaving on what they called good terms. Eventually though, after many years of trying and lots of paperwork, Maria and Arnold were finally divorced, and he is now able to spend more time as a father. Mildred is a chef, and little Joseph is now all grown up and following in his father's footsteps as both a model and in the movie industry. And number 1. Donald Trump's criminal activities. In 2006, Donald Trump was known solely as a wealthy real estate mogul with a hit reality show called The Apprentice. He had recently been married to Melania Trump, and he had a newly born 4-month-old baby. However, reports leaked that Trump was in the midst of an affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels, after she filed a civil suit claiming that the contract he made her sign to keep quiet was invalid. Daniels claimed that herself and Trump had shared a very intimate relationship for roughly a year during his marriage to Melania. These weren't the first allegations of an affair, as Trump has been back and forth in the media since the 1970s, being accused by 26 women of harassment or misconduct. While these rumors never held any merit at first, the truth was finally set free. After being the most chaotic president in recent history, it was announced in March that Trump was being arrested on 34 separate violations of a New York law against falsifying business documents to conceal another crime. Basically, over the years, he was essentially taking company money and using it to pay off anyone who might have been a threat to him, both personally and politically. Well, hey, thanks for the free money, Donnie. We'll see you never.
Coming in at 10, Juliana Margulies and Archie Panjabi. Now, I love and hate this rumor simply because I absolutely loved the show The Good Wife, and I adored both of these characters. The rumor goes though that Juliana Margulies and Archie Panjabi both hated each other so much they needed green screen to film their final scenes together because they couldn't stand being in the same room as one another. When Panjabi filmed her final scene on the series with Margulies, it was revealed that the two filmed it separately and had it stitched together in post-production. However, Margulies stated that this was just gossip and that Panjabi was filming her other show The Fall and couldn't make it back in time. However, things got heated when Panjabi took to Twitter to deny these claims, stating that The Fall wasn't even in production when the finale was filmed. Yikes. I actually went to the same university as Archie Panjabi. Fun fact. Coming in at 9, Beyonce faked her first pregnancy. This theory widely circulated the internet back in 2011 when the singer was expecting her first child, Blue Ivy. Now the theory goes that Beyonce was never truly pregnant with her child, and instead she commissioned a surrogate to bring her daughter to term, and she fooled everyone by wearing a prosthetic stomach. However, all was going well when we all found out the truth on live television, when the singer's stomach seemingly deflated as she was taking a seat on an Australian talk show. So of course, as soon as people saw this, they went crazy with theories. Things got so intense for the singer that in 2016, while pregnant with twins, she did a partially nude photo shoot to prove to the world that she was carrying her babies. Something she really didn't have to do, but our queen blessed us all. Coming in at 8, Gene Simmons' tongue. Kiss, as we all know, are a band that would do quite literally anything for attention, but none more so than bassist Gene Simmons. He is known for his long, really long tongue, and rumours began circulating about whether it was in fact real or not. Many actually suspect that the Kiss frontman had a cow's tongue grafted onto his own so that the persona as the demon would be more believable. However, the rockstar has adamantly denied these claims, as you would. Coming in at 7, David Bowie and Mick Jagger. This rumour was cooked up on the Joan Rivers show back on May 4th, 1990, when Angela Bowie, ex-wife of David Bowie, spilled some dirt on her famous ex-husband. While on the show she claimed, I quote, "I caught him in bed with men several times. In fact, the best time I caught him in bed was with Mick Jagger." And when prompted to answer if they had their clothes off, she stated, "They certainly did." Up until that point, David Bowie had openly acknowledged his bisexuality, and although Mick Jagger had not made any such statement, rumour had it that the singer was known to sleep with men, perhaps even a bandmate or two. Coming in at 6, Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight. According to this rumour, the lyrics to the Phil Collins song In the Air Tonight are about the night he watched his friend die. Now, the lyrics themselves are ambiguous, but one tale says that the song adapts an incident in which Collins was on a mountain and watched his friend drown in a lake below. Apparently there was a man nearby who could have saved him, but didn't. The rumour even goes as far as to claim that Collins invited the man to go to one of his concerts so that he could play the song for him in person. However, saying that Phil Collins has claimed many times that the entire Face Value album is about the end of a marriage. Coming in at 5, Michael Jackson slept in an oxygen chamber. Back in the 1980s, there was a rumour that the King of Pop owned a hyperbaric oxygen chamber and used to sleep in the rejuvenation tank because he believed it was extremely healthy and would prolong his life. Then in 1986, a photo was leaked of Jackson appearing to be sleeping in the oxygen tank, with many reports circulating at the time that the tank was in his home and that's where he would sleep. However, back in 1993, Jackson flat out said that he had never had an oxygen chamber in his home, and that the chamber he was pictured in was for his charity, the Michael Jackson Burn Center. Coming in at 4, January Jones's baby daddy. Back in 2011, January Jones gave birth to her son Xander, and to this day nobody knows who the father of the child is. However, that hasn't stopped people from speculating. Some have guessed that the father is her ex, Jason Sudeikis. Others think it was her X-Men First Class director Matthew Vaughn, who was married to Claudia Schiffer. However, the most likely person is Bobby Flay. This is because Flay's ex-wife, Stephanie March, once told a press room that the reason she got divorced was because Flay was having an affair with January Jones, and is the father of her son. So, there we have it, I guess. Coming in at 3, Steve from Blue's Clues. A ton of rumours circulated the news when Steve Burns left Blue's Clues back in 2002, and as most fans tend to do, they fabricated stories about the actor dying in a car accident, having a problem with alcoholism, and even being put in an insane asylum. In the world of the TV show, the character left under the premise that he was going off to college, and that's when his replacement came along, Joe and his big orange sweater. The real reason is far from what I previously mentioned though. He was going bald. I quote, "I know I wasn't going to be doing children's television all my life, mostly because I refused to lose my hair on a kids' TV show, and it was happening. Fast. Respect." Coming in at 2, Richard Gere and the gerbil. Now, this rumour is perhaps the most absurd thing I've ever read in my entire life, and honestly, and I warn you before going into this that it is not nice and kind of upsetting. However, saying that, Richard Gere himself has called this infamous story an urban myth, and that it is completely untrue. Back in the 90s, Gere was coming off the success of films such as Pretty Woman, during which time the actor was supposedly rushed to Cedars-Sinai Hospital in LA for an emergency gerbilectomy. That's right, a gerbilectomy. According to reports, a gerbil was inserted inside of the actor with erotic intent. Yeah, I can't even say that with a straight face. Now, thankfully, there is no shred of evidence surrounding this claim. However, Gere has suspicions on who started this rumour, Sylvester Stallone. I quote, "Richard was fired from our movie set and to this day seriously dislikes me. He even thinks I'm the individual responsible for the gerbil rumour. Not true, but that's the rumour." And finally, coming in at number 1, Angelina Jolie slept with her brother. Angelina Jolie has always had an interesting dating history, from Billy Bob Thornton to Val Kilmer to Brad Pitt. However, the incident that always stands out to us is the 2000 Oscars. Jolie showed up with her brother James Haven as her date, and the two went as far as to share a passionate kiss together. Following the kiss, Jolie won an Oscar for her role in Girl Interrupted and said, "I'm in shock, and I'm so in love with my brother right now," before going on to say, "He just held me and said he loved me, and I know he's so happy for me." Okay, calm down. The internet, of course, was abuzz with speculation that the siblings were closer than they should be. However, the two have adamantly denied these claims, as you would, and as you should.